defensive perspective, were you doing more evaluation during the bye week, or were you doing more teaching, such as trying to help these guys understand a little bit more of what to expect coming forward?
Yeah, I think more teaching. I told them we got to go back to focus on us. We made a lot of mistakes that have been forced by us, and not by somebody else. And so that's the key for me is trying to get guys to just do their job, and do your 111th every play and have a chance to play great defense that way. And it's hard to overcome as you play better people if you don't do your job consistently. If you play teams who can't block you, sure, you can get out of gaps and that's fine. But once you start to play teams that have good players and have the ability to execute and are going to move and make you adjust and try and test your discipline, you have to stay with that. So we focused on that the last 2 weeks of just how do we consistently do our job, where do our eyes go, and then put ourselves in position to make the tackle.
Feel that when you're trying to implement this defense that against a ranked team you forced 3 turnovers after a couple weeks, you didn't really have any?
Yeah, obviously that's good, but we didn't make them punt, so it's a relative across the board type of thing. For me, we try and give ourselves opportunities. Obviously, the confusion, we punch at the ball a lot. I think that's something that we try and emphasize, and we have the last couple of weeks of forcing fumbles, trying to get them out. And that showed up against BYU, but we were just unable to capitalize on the other drives and getting guys off the field on 3rd and 4th down, and so that doesn't create momentum. And so that's kind of the keys. We got to keep those turnovers, but we've also got to get the offense off the field when we have an opportunity on 3rd down.
Robinson, obviously, he's played a few games now. How badly you need him to become a playmaker for you?
Yeah, I think we need Jamori to show up on the edge and be a dude. That he's shown he can be, and come back and execute and do the things that it takes to be successful. Do your job and get after people, every single play, and that comes from getting in shape and being able to, both, know what to do and execute it in the time when your key tells you what to do as well.
Which is more frustrating as a defensive coordinator? Team and you've had both happen this year. Team get like 30 first downs, or team get 4 or 5 plays of 40 or more yards.
Probably the first downs, because you don't give it an opportunity for the offense to get the ball. As you force them to get off the field, you get the ball back for the offense, and that leads to touchdowns and scoring, and that's how you play complementary football. You're going to give up an explosive here or there, and you can overcome that. You go for a 40-yard pass, stop them on the 5, and hold them to a field goal, you can overcome. But you let them consistently put 13, 14, 15 play drives together and not get off the field. You don't help yourself get the ball back to the offense, and they still end up coming away with points. And so I would say probably the first downs.
Is the big difference first down and tackling more than anything else done?
Absolutely.
Controlling the ball?
Yeah, you got to win on first and second down. If you consistently end up in 2nd and 2 and 3rd and 1, you're not going to win the majority of those. Statistics tell you that. Across the country, 3rd and 1, the offense wins the majority of the time because they only got to get 1 yard. Whereas 3rd and 10, they don't win, but 12% of the time. So, that's something that we've got to do a better job of on first and second down, which goes back to reading those keys and tackling to give yourself a chance to get off the field on 3rd and long. And then that also provides the opportunity to get sacks and rush the passer and force turnovers.
How much can you do schematically to help you out on the line of scrimmage? I know the last BYU and Utah, it's kind of unique the way how good they were up front, but what can you do?
Yeah, you try and make them single block everybody, and hopefully when you do that, you can make plays in the backfield. So you try to create, 5-6 man pressures where they can only block one guy, with one guy, and then at least keep them from putting 600 pounds on one person, at a time. So the more of that you can get to, the easier it is to be able to, hold point in there. So I'd say that's probably the first answer is, blitz somebody and take a double team off of an interior guy.
Kind of dilute them a little bit?
Yeah, force them to block an athlete in space and, see if you can get vertical penetration and slow the ball down and make it go, east and west.
What's been the collective mood just in regards to your defensive players after allowing 30 or more points in all of your Big 12 contests at this point? What's the mood? What's the energy level like going into this week?
I felt it's been pretty good. I think they understand that, it's a lot of what we've done and that if we fix our issues, that we have an opportunity to go out and play a good game this week. And you got to learn from the first 6 games, but at the same time, like, we've got to do better, and it's start of the second half, and nothing like halftime, man. The score in the first half doesn't matter, and so we have an opportunity with 6 games left in the season, guaranteed that we can improve, and we want to see that improvement, and I think our guys are bought into that, and they kind of understand where the issues have been, and just trying to figure out the fundamentals of playing the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Zach, how much, I guess maybe cat and mouse would be the phrase, is there you watching a team their prior 4 games and something they've struggled with that habitually their opponents have done? They can't handle it, they can't block this, whatever. And then conversely, maybe you have to cover up a little bit too because it's happened to you, and okay, 3 teams have attacked us on this. Does that happen, or is that just kind of a cliche fan armchair analysis thing?
Yeah, no, I think that definitely happens. A good coordinator on either side of the ball is going to expose things. I always call it, it's professional courtesy to see if you fix that. And so we're going to do it again to see if you've solved that problem. And I think we do that, and so the other teams do it to us. So we work those, we work them in practice, things that we've struggled with before, and maybe plays we've given up, and try and make sure we're ready to execute them if they show back up again.
What's the balance like trying to work on tackling during a bye week, but not overdo it at this point in the season when you're already somewhat banged up?
Yeah. I don't know if overdoing it's a thing. So we're going to work on it and be physical and try and get dudes down. And, if you can't tackle nobody, everything else doesn't really matter. So, the guys who are healthy that could go, we were going to bang heads and get ready to play.
Rich talked about after the BYU game that he challenged the staff even to ask themselves if they're doing everything possible to win right now, regardless of circumstance. Number one, do you feel like you and your whole staff below you are, and what can be done, and how did you take that challenge from him even amongst the defensive staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always good to reassess the things you're doing, see if there's better ways to do things and to teach, and so we've done that and we've looked at it. I feel like our guys, both my coaches, myself, our players too, have, bought into that work and what it looks like to be able to execute the right way. And to teach the right way and to give them extra and do more. And, I believe the staff's bought into that and has continued to try and do that as much as we can.
Style-wise, UCF, can you put them in a category of maybe similar to Kansas or Cincinnati? How would you group them?
Yeah, I think they're a blend of a couple teams, probably somewhere between a Kansas and a BYU maybe, as far as the schematically what they do. Like I said, they've got good team speed on the edges, which is something that's presents a challenge comparatively maybe to some other people. But probably a blend of those two teams, and as we alluded to earlier, I'm sure we'll see some plays from those games.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.